Oh, welcome to Sports Center. Zuba Mahinti, I'm Mike Leaves. Of course, Ryan Clark and Louis Riddick here. The AFC Championship game has concluded. 2 games on Championship Sunday going to overtime. First time in NFL history that 2 playoff games went to OT on the same day. We had theater, we had drama. I'm like a little emotionally withdrawn right now because my juice is gone. Like now the game's over. Now we got to talk about it. What did you see? Like when you think about what happened, what happened?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll just start with the game that just finished.
Yes.
Look, that right there, you know, there's certain things that Bill Belichick preaches as far as, and we talk about it all the time, as far as not letting the opponent's best players, allowing their strengths to continue to be a strength, somehow make them play left-handed, somehow make them do something that it makes them uncomfortable. That last drive you just saw right there in overtime where they just marched the ball down the field. Tom is 3 for 3, 4 for 4 on third down. And who's he throwing it to every time? Who are they running rub routes and pick routes to? Every time you see them get in a bunch formation, it's Julian Edelman, and then it's Rob Gronkowski. Not once did we see them try and double these guys strategically. And you sit there and you pull your hair out because you know these are the kind of things that Bill used to talk about all the time, all the way back in the early 90s when I was with him in Cleveland. And they're still doing it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't get it. I'm like you. It's just like, it's just like an energy drain. Like, what?
All right, well, let's see what happened here for those of you just now joining us.
Here we go. What kind of alternate world are we living in where the Pats have made the Super Bowl and everybody is stunned? But that's where we are. Chiefs down 24-21. Mahomes. We're going to get a flag on this, Ryan. What are you seeing?
Listen, he had hands on down the field. It was a little touchy and grabby, but still, when you look at some of the pass interferences that weren't called earlier, this one definitely wouldn't have been called in the Superdome today.
All right, so fresh set here, Lou. Mahomes. Jones almost comes up with the pick here.
Yeah, look, these are the plays that Pat makes, man. These are the things that Andy allows him to do and allows Tyreek to go ahead and battle for those 50-50 balls.
And then Sammy Watkins, when Ryan, he's healthy, he's lethal.
He is, and this was a great play design, though. If you look at Sammy, he's wide open to the outside. Pat, one of the best on the run outside of the pocket, easy pitch and catch.
Lou Williams had a great game today.
Yeah, look, he's one of those guys who their general manager down there, Brett Veach, has been high on for a while. He said that he is powerful, he's explosive, and catch the ball in the backfield. He showed that today.
And then Ryan, as Lou said, when you need somebody and you're Brady, you go to you-know-who.
Well, if you watch down the stretch, it was Julian Edelman and Rob Gronkowski because those are the guys he knows he can count on.
And then everything turned here. Lou, it looked like this was going to be great news for the Chiefs, but...
Yeah, man. I mean, you know what? You just cannot line up offsides. As a defensive lineman, you're looking at the ball. That's a tough play. That's tough to swallow right there.
There's been a lot of talk about Gronk this year, Ryan. He heard it.
Yeah, this was a huge play. Eric Berry's playing the back shoulder. Rob Gronkowski goes up and gets the ball. He came up huge for this team down the stretch, and that's what you expect from an all-pro.
You should never see these guys one-on-one, though, and having guys by themselves on these 2 guys, on him and Edelman.
And Lou, they retake the lead courtesy of Burkhead.
Look, this is that's how they established their identity late in the season. Power football when they need it the most.
Mahomes had a chance for his own defining seminal drive. He's looking for Spencer Ware, who's going to help him out, Ryan.
We saw this all year from Patrick Mahomes. This is a great throw, but look at the catch by Spencer Ware in a pressure moment. That's a huge play by him as a running back outside the backfield.
Kid is 23, and then he's got Robinson for 27, Lou.
Yeah, look, he's dealing. I mean, this is Pat trying to match the greatest quarterback of all time, throw for throw. Gives his team a chance to win the game. We're tied up here anyway.
And as Mike said, this is why we're going to overtime for the second time in as many games. Butker from 39. 8 seconds to go. We go to overtime. You know the deal. You score a touchdown first at overtime. The game is over. Pats get it first. Here comes Brady, putting together the latest to what has been drive after drive after drive of brilliance to Hogan, Ryan.
Listen, this was a huge throw. This was a drive that he knew how to march the ball down the field because you can see exactly what coverage Kansas City was in every single play.
And then that one to Edelman and back to Lou, old reliable here.
There it is, the rub routes, right? I mean, you saw the play before. You saw Julian come off the line totally uncontested, and you're going, where's Tom going to go? You're just waiting for him to give it to him. That's hard for me to understand why the Chiefs were doing this.
And just like that, the New England Patriots, thanks to that Burkhead run, are going back to the Super Bowl. This was the 13th AFC Championship game. Lucky number 13 for Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. 37-31. They get it done. They had dominated the early stretches of the game. Of course, we'll have the full highlights for you coming up. We'll hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Bill Belichick, and Tom Brady. The Super Bowl is set. First blush thoughts from our experts, Lou Riddick Ryan Clark, Michael, and Zubin will be with you throughout the night. We'll go to ESPN News for all the press conferences as well. Prime time with Boomer and TJ kicking it old school on ESPN in just a bit. We are set. Take us through your thoughts on the Pats winning and your first blush on Super Bowl 53.
The big thing about the Pats winning to me is this was, Tom talked about them sucking and us not thinking they had a chance to win. The reason was because if you looked on paper and looked at these depth charts, the Kansas City Chiefs were more talented. They had more talent on the outside. They had more talented people that could make plays. This was about Bill Belichick taking away what you do great and Tom Brady finding ways to pick apart a defense that he knows exactly where you're lining up and what you're going to do. They threw no wrinkles at Tom Brady. They didn't do anything to confuse him. They also didn't move him off his spot. And when you're playing against a guy who's been in this game so many times and been in all of these big moments, you have to do something different. You have to reach into your bag and say, we're not going to just rely on talent to beat this team that we know has so much more intestinal fortitude, experience in these type of positions. And so now you find yourself on the outside looking in.
Let me ask you this, because you were harping on this a moment, and then Ryan just said the same thing. If Tom Brady's looking up there, if you guys can tell it here what the Chiefs are running, then clearly Tom Brady can.
Sure.
So is it just a lack in scheme, or the personnel they have over there, they don't feel as if they can make those type of wrinkles and adjustment and be effective?
Well,
because if it's that elementary to you guys, clearly it's a Tom Brady.
I think it's two things. One, they know that they're deficient in the secondary in particular in Kansas City. So they know they have some work to do. So if you're deficient, do you let your guys just go one-on-one against their two horses in crunch time? There is no reason in the NFL that you should allow a quarterback to go 13 of 19 on third down, 13 of 19 and 4 for 5 in the red area as a football team without making it tougher than what they made it. They didn't give them any resistance in those critical. Bill prides himself on two things in particular as far as winning football games. One, play great situational football, right? We wear that phrase out.
Yes.
Situational is third down and red area. They crushed Kansas City in that area. And what else does he count on? He counts on this. He used to always say he wants people who are mentally tough and who are smart, who will stick to it over 3.5, 4 hours. And eventually the other team will do something dumb. They just will. And he hates that. He will take a lesser player for a guy who will stick to it. Now, what happened at the end of this game? The game should have been over for the Chiefs. D Ford lines up offside. Bill will cut people who do that. You do that, you won't play for him, and you may be a guy who runs a 5.5 40 instead of a 4.5 like D Ford does. Yes. But if you commit those kinds of mistakes, that's what keeps you out of Super Bowls. That's what right now is going to send the Chiefs in their locker room going, we had the game. Because they did. Yes. Michael, it's over right there.
Ball game.
It's over simply because a guy had his head 6 inches too far over the ball, and now it's totally different. And that's how Bill wins.
And it's such an easy call.
Exactly.
First off, it's an easy fix. Right, that's the first thing you do when you ever go. If you ever go to a football practice, NFL football practice, when it goes to individuals, the D lineman would do get-offs, and in get-offs they make sure they're lined up behind the ball. They'll have a coach snapping the ball. He'll give them some type of dummy count, and then he'll move the ball. It's the first thing they do. It's the first part of understanding how to play the position, and you can't have that mistake happen. And time after time after time, we've seen other teams do it, and not the New England Patriots. And that's exactly what we saw tonight.
Now, we're simplifying it down to one play.
Yes.
And, of course, you can't do that, just like you can't do it in the Saints-Rams games. But it still matters. It matters when you beat yourself mentally like that. You cannot in the NFL, and he won't put up with it in New England. And I'm not saying Andy puts up with it. I'm just saying that is a soul-destroying loss right there when you think about it.
There's an old saying in NASCAR: if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Right. Trying to get as close to the edge as possible without going over. And it seems as if D was trying to get as close to the line to try to get a jump to get pressure on.
He's supposed to. But what do they tell you? They tell you, look down the line at the ball, put your hand down, look at the ball, and put your head behind your hand. That way you're not also your hand. Let that be your guide.
Yeah. Plus the officials right there too. Like
and you're watching this game, and when the game starts, you're seeing the New England Patriots really invert the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. They were more physical than the Kansas City Chiefs were. And, throughout the season, we've said different things about the Patriots because they've made mistakes. We've seen Tom Brady do uncharacteristic things in the red zone. And so you start to think, okay, there's some cracks in what they're doing. But as the season got on, you saw the last week of the season against the AFC East teams kind of shore some things up. And then you get an opportunity to come into the playoffs. You have a home game which you dominate, and then you go on the road and beat. I mean, listen, We talked about Patrick Mahomes earlier. I don't think we give him enough credit. We see some of the things he's done, and we start to get kind of numb to it, right? We start to think it's simple for Patrick Mahomes to do it. He made some throws today that kept this team in the game when they should have been blown out.
Yep.
And so the Patriots were just that darn good last week and this week to go on the road in what I thought, I'll be honest, was Kansas City and Andy Reid's year.
You know what's funny about Tom is, like, you compare Tom to Patrick, and all year long people were saying, well, Tom can't throw the deep ball anymore. He's, second bottom level quarterback, mid-tier quarterback. Tom, I'm sitting here trying to think of an analogy. Tom's like Neo in the Matrix, where everyone else is moving real fast, and Tom's just like, block and stuff. Because that's how he operates now. He doesn't need to operate with pure, just raw power. To him, which, as you saw right there in those drives, you just kind of knew, like, he's about to do that Tom Brady stuff again.
Right. That was the feeling everybody had.
It's just like this. It's like cut. I got you. Cut. And especially if you give him the answers, as Ryan is talking about, give him the answers to the test, and he just has to fill it in.
Yes, it's over.
It's
death by paper.
I mean, good for them, though, because you know what? Bill has feasted off of other people's mistakes for years. That's why he's gone to 15,000 Super Bowls and has won 1 million championships. Right. And he just sits over there with that look on his face like, I got you right where I want you because I know you're going to do something that I'm going to capitalize on, and they do it every time.
You know Bill well. You said you know him going back to the 90s. If you were to stack up all of their Super Bowl appearances, considering what happened this year, 11-5, 5 load losses, blown out by the Jaguars, the Lions, the Titans.
The Miami Miracle.
The Miami Miracle, which cost them home field in this particular game. Great call. Where does this one stack up with all the adversity and Tom essentially telling the world that I know nobody thinks we can win? Where does this one stack up?
I think it's probably one of his best coaching jobs because of going all the way back to the offseason. Tom's not there. It's a little bit different, atmosphere around there. He shows up at training camp. People are going, oh, Bill and Tom are feuding. Tom, the owner has Tom's back and Bill's kind of like maybe on his way out. Then they have some difficulties. Then they can't win on the road. Then they win on a fluke play they lose on a fluke play in Miami. People are saying Tom's a bottom level quarterback or mid-tier quarterback. He can't throw the football far. They don't have any speed on the outside. Josh Gordon, gets in trouble. And it's all that's it because they can't throw. They can't run down the field. And you know what? They get in there, and what happens is, and you know what? You have to give Josh McDaniels some credit too, because I'll tell you this. That guy is a play caller. You can talk about Sean McVay. He's great. Matt Nagy's great. Andy Reid is great. Josh McDaniels knows how to kill you with death by 1,000 cuts better than anybody. And he showed it. Right. Rex Burkhead, James White, Sony Michel. They just and there's people going, I don't want Rex Burkhead. James White's nice, but he's not really that good. But okay. They take those guys, Deion Lewis before that, and they just cut
I think
you apart.
It shows again, though, even, he's speaking about Josh McDaniels, but just in the New England Patriots as a whole, they just do what it takes to win. Whether it's the pretty thing, whether it's the thing we like to see.
Why can't everybody do it?
Because everybody doesn't have the patience.
You know what? That is the key. It's the wherewithal to stick with it and stick with. Because you know what happened? I think it was Matt Hasselbeck was saying this earlier today. Somebody said this. Why, when something is working, won't coaches keep calling the same thing? Because they go, well, I called it once, I can't call it again. Because I have this whole nice little play sheet, and I got to hit them all.
I did this all week.
I got to show everybody. I'm going to get my money. That's right. I'm going to get my money's worth out of this play sheet.
Boy say, yes, sir.
You got 15 cars in the garage. You
yes.
all of them. Instead of the one that's faster than everybody.
Yes.
And prettier than everybody's. Exactly. Great analogy.
Let's take you through the extra session. Obviously, this is all you need. His precision was there. They're 3 for 3 on 3rd down in the overtime drive.
Yeah, I mean, look, on that throw right there, when you saw Julian come off the line, you didn't see a defender within 7-8 yards of him. That's too easy. It's just too easy. Same thing here. Corner sitting in outside leverage. They run a little pick type of situation. You see the corner's frustrated after the play. He knew he was going to get beat.
Burkhead ends it. Seconds later, Brady helmet off, and they're off to the Super Bowl run.
Yeah, I mean, that's just big on big right there. Tom's doing what Tom does. He's one of the great winners, great competitors of all time. It's just this, look, Robert Kraft said he may be the greatest football player of all time. Maybe they're not the most explosive, most talented and all. Total package, done deal.
All right, Ryan, so we were talking about how efficient Tom Brady was on 3rd down, especially those late drives in OT.
Right.
Why? How did they make it so easy for him?
Well, the first thing you're going to see on this play here, you're going to see Julian Edelman is outside. He's going to motion inside. And when he motions down here, you're going to see the corner come with him, and there's going to be communication between Nelson on the outside and Fuller here on the inside. That's going to let you know they're in man, and they're trying to figure out in which way they're going to play the stack once it comes down. So it motions down. Now we get the stack. You're going to see Fuller. He's going to back off here. When he backs off, this now locks Nelson on the outside. He's going to be man-to-man outside here. What they're going to do is run a double in. So we're going to send the outside receiver up in here, and Edelman is going to rub off here, get inside leverage, and come inside. And Tom Brady knows he can hit him because they end up being outside leverage because of the robber in the middle. You see there, Fuller's now squeezing from the outside. Easy pitch and catch for Tom Brady. We're going to see something very similar on this play. Julian Edelman is on the outside, right? Same type of deal. They're going to motion him down into a stack. When he motions down into the stack, you're going to see the outside corner here and Fuller. They're communicating again. They're trying to figure out how they're going to play this. Now, when you see the stack motion in, 35 stays on the ball. If he stays on the ball, you know, he's going to try to press here on Julian Edelman. It's going to be a natural rub created when Dorsett comes up. Edelman's going to come right off his butt and get inside. Watch the play goes up. He's a natural pick right inside. Easy money for Tom Brady. There's recognition before the play and then understanding how things will play out after. Easy pitch and catch.
You know, one of the easiest ways to help yourself in that situation, press the guy on the line and jam him up and almost throw him into the guy who's trying to rub off of him.
Yep.
And then your guy who's playing off can kind of like sift his way through the trash. Both of those guys back off, they got you right where they want. See, they did this against the Chiefs as well. Yeah. I mean, against the Chargers as well. That's how they lost the game. Down there on the goal line, Mike Williams catches the ball. See, those are those kinds of things where I'm talking about. Not playing smart, you can't do that against them. Can't do it against them.
And that's why the Patriots are going to the Super Bowl again, where they will take on the Rams. Got plenty more coverage of Championship Sunday coming up here on ESPN. Prime time special edition. Boomer, TJ, and Keyshawn in the building. We've got more SportsCenter coming up throughout the evening as well. For now, enjoy prime time.